Today we're going to have a little conversation about one Nicki Minaj. And before you come here thinking that you're going to bash on Nicki Minaj, I am not. I am just going to call attention to certain things that I have noticed in the last few weeks and in the past, I guess I should say. Because Nicki Minaj is the perfect example of what I call old school mentality, which is, I don't know if you remember back in the old days. I'm going to go far back. I'm going to go to the 80s, where Cyndi Lauper and Madonna were mortal enemies. I don't even think they knew each other at that point. But, yeah, they were mortal enemies. And the only reason why they were mortal enemies is because they both came out at about the same time. More recently, I want to say the 90s would be Christina Aguilera versus Britney Spears. I think that's a good example. I don't think there is an era where you cannot find two girls that were singers, and that's just not here in the United States, it's everywhere. Where you don't see this whole thing where these two girls came up at about the same time, and for some reason the media loved to term them mortal enemies. More often than not, that wasn't even the case. But it's fun. And the sad part about it is sometimes the people themselves add to it. And I'm going to give you a more recent example. There was a big brouhaha when Lady Gaga came out because she was trying to copy Madonna. The reality is that Lady Gaga was trying to figure out what she was going to be. And now she doesn't have to do that anymore. But back in those days, she was doing whatever she could for shock value because it's free publicity. It's something that, it's common sense, more or less. I don't know if you remember the meat suit, but that comes to mind. And for some reason, people started saying that Madonna hated her, and then Lady Gaga didn't like Madonna and all this other stuff. And Gaga never said anything bad about Madonna. But that Madonna added fuel to the fire. She didn't come out and said that she hated her. She just said that she was, what was the word that she used? She was reductive. I think that's the word she used. And I just thought it was funny because in the end, they got caught on several occasions just talking to each other like girls do. And you realize that it was all for the press. But the reason why I'm bringing this up is because it bothers me to no end that we have yet to come to a point where women stop attacking other women. Now, I'm not talking about people that deserve to be attacked. And there's a distinction that I want to make here. Because I saw this with, I'm already started doing research for a longer video. And I saw this with the whole controversy between Oprah and Monique. And I also saw it with Taraji P. Henson and Oprah. And I see it now, and it bothers me that people can't tell the difference. The fact that somebody belongs to the same class or the same group that you do does not mean that you co-sign their crap. Okay? If I'm going to use myself as an example because I just don't want to get in trouble with anybody and I'm not in the mood for that today. So if you are making a comment about a particular person and that person is a criminal, is a con artist, is an abuser, it's any kind of has any kind of problematic behavior, the fact that they are the same race, ethnicity, member of the same marginalized group that you are, or if you're white and they're white, doesn't mean that you co-sign on their crap. There is a difference between not attacking women just because you want to see beef between women and actually coming after somebody that's done something wrong. In the case of Monique versus Oprah, Monique has some very strong accusations against Oprah, some of which we've seen played out in real time, and we know if Monique is telling the truth or not. Personally, I believe Monique regardless of whether I've seen evidence or not, just because of certain things that I've seen in the last few years, but I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm not going to talk about that in this video. I will tell you this. It's very different when you have somebody like Taraji talking about conditions in the workplace, which is fair game, and it's a fair, legitimate criticism. And if Oprah Winfrey's involved in that, then you know what? She deserves what she gets. It's a completely different thing when you are calling out a woman just because you want a little beef so you can spark your sales or get some free publicity. At this point, it's tiring. And it's tired. And I don't see why we still have to do this. So in comes Nicki Minaj. Now, before you hit me with, I've been listening to Nicki Minaj for over 10 years. You know, when she did that video, that I think it was Love You, the name of the video. And I'm going to put a little image here so you know what video I'm talking about. That's the first time I ever saw Nicki Minaj, and I fell in love with her. Then comes, you know, boom, ba-dum, boom, boom, ba-dum, you know the song. And there's other songs that I absolutely love of hers. In fact, there is a drive that we do here when my daughter and I are going around just looking at places and taking pictures. There is a specific road that we take to get from here to Daytona Beach, which is not the highway. And every single time we used to drive through that road, we used to listen to her stuff while we were driving to the beach. And if you know, you know. Anyway, my issue with Nicki Minaj has always been, and this is an issue that I've had with other people, it's just, it bothers me more now because she's attacking other women. This whole thing of what I call scandals for views. And if you see it when I write it scandals for views, and the S is a dollar sign, because at the end of the day, you can change the word views for dollars or for sales or for whatever. If you are secure in the product that you have, whether that is your artistic ability, your singing ability, your products that you create, the services you provide, if you are absolutely sure that you're good at what you do, you don't need to put this whole show. You just don't. So when I saw this whole thing between Nicki Minaj and Megan Thee Stallion, I decided I wanted to delve a little deeper. But then I started thinking, you know, we've seen this before. I don't know how long ago it was, but didn't she have the same kind of beef with Cardi B? So then I decided to listen to both songs, his and the one that I think it's called Bigfoot. And I have to be honest with you, I did not like Bigfoot at all. I thought the best way I can describe it is like this. I saw this entire story of this person talking about the song and explaining every single verse on the song. When you make a diss track, the idea is for the most people possible to get the reference, because that's how you sell a diss track. If you have to give me a entire dissertation on why the song is so smart, it's, for one thing, it flew over most people's heads then. And for another, it just isn't that good of a song. It's not a good diss track if nobody understands what you're trying to say. And at the end of the day, the quality of the song is not there. The quality of the writing is not there. And then when she started getting criticism, she decided to say that she had been sitting on that in the vault for 6 years. Yeah, no, babe. Nah. But more importantly, the reason why I decided to use Nicki Minaj as an example is because I was looking for the Cardi B, Nicki beef. And what I ended up finding out is that Nicki has pretty much had some sort of difference with pretty much every artist, not just rap artists, but artists in general, women artists more particularly. There has been, I think there was only one guy or two guys on the list. I don't think there were that many guys, mostly girls. And that is one of those things that brings me to the second point, which is, why do women feel the need to put other women down in order for them to get either publicity or get people to like them or whatever. And before I keep talking, let me make this very clear, because it also needs to be said. Nicki Minaj, Beyonce, Taylor Swift, I think those are the big three. I want to say those are the big three. Have these ridiculous fanhoods. Well, actually, those are not fans, they're stans. And these people will tear you a new one if you say anything bad about their queen. And my question to you is, you do realize that you're talking about a big old millionaire that doesn't need you, or billionaire in the case of Taylor. I think Beyonce is a billionaire too, but I'm not sure. You do realize that you're talking about people who have millions and millions of dollars, and if they are really as rich as they say they are, they shouldn't care about some nobody like me or my opinions. But sometimes they do, and you know why? Because they realize that people are being truth tellers. It's not, oh my God, the haters. No, when people are calling you out for continually, every time you're going to do something, you have to make a big scene and get into an argument with other creators and whatnot in order for you to shine. Yeah, it says a lot about you. It says you're very insecure. And I understand why Nikki would feel a little insecure, because as far as talent goes, she has it. As far as age, she's not as young as she used to be. And she feels maybe a little threatened by how relevant some other people are becoming, like Megan Thee Stallion, for example, and Cardi B. And they're younger, they have more, they're more visible, whatever. And let's not forget that a couple of years back, Nicki Minaj decided to put her hat in the ring in terms of talking politics, and most people did not understand her politics. Then you add to that the person she decided to spend the rest of her life with, a person that has got his own problematic reputation, and more importantly, she decided to double down and actually co-sign his bad behavior, and you have a recipe for disaster, all of which is of her own doing. And this is the thing with most of these celebrities. You do the deed, but you don't want to pay the price for doing the deed. Well, then don't do the deed. If you don't want to be called out because you married somebody that has a reputation for being abusive, don't marry the abusive person. Just because the person wasn't abusive to you doesn't mean that he hasn't been abusive to somebody else. And to co-sign and try to silence people that are coming up talking about what he did to them makes you look bad. And again, you're attacking other women in defense of a man. See where I'm going with this? At the end of the day, what I want you to understand is that, number one, you really don't need to put other women down to bring yourself up if your talent is there. And I believe Nikki's talent is there. And number two, the era where we put women down is over. But exactly why do you feel the need to make a scandal in order for you to get eyeballs on you? That's all I have to say about that topic. Thank you so much for watching, and have a wonderful day.